Nope, never was. Technically, I never rose above the rank of Padawan for various reasons. Does that surprise you? I suppose I'm not prone to live my life like most of the Jedi Masters do, that's true. My opinions on love are no different. In my case, becoming a Jedi would have been a formality. I doubt the Order and I would have gotten along well, considering my opinions on things such as love. No, I didn't. I may never have become a Jedi technically, but I'm an old Padawan with a lifetime of experience. That applies both to the Force as well as topics like love. I was an experienced Padawan, surely, but not yet ready to be a full Jedi, and certainly not ready to train another, especially not one so old as my wife. Not to mention that I had remained a Padawan throughout the war, or formality perhaps, but with the trial, it had to be decided if I was worthy to become a Jedi at all. They said I had learned wisdom the hard way. For all I had done during the war, they wished to raise me to full Jedi status at long last. The Jedi Council wouldn't approve, but they always were a little stodgy about using the Force on people. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I know I'm just an old codger, but at my time I've learned that what goes around comes around. These things have a way of coming back to you in the end. Reminds me of my old smuggling days. Nothing better than the old Jedi mind trick for getting past an overly curious customs officer. Nice, real nice. Maybe later we could find some insects to pull the legs off, huh? Hey, kid, that was a good thing you did there. Almost brought a tear to this old man's eye. The damnable racket of battle. Watch yourself. Even more of these crawling beasts are hiding in the underbrush. Quit your yapping for now. We'll talk when the company is better. Get to fighting! Well, that was acceptable. You're not quite the commander I'd have accompanied in my youth, but you managed to walk away. I'm Jolee Bindo. Follow me to my camp and we'll talk a bit. Why am I here? Well, it isn't because I like the stink of dead Kinrath. Let's move this talk to my camp where the air is better. Keep close. It's nearby under a log. Yeah, I live like some burrowing rodent. I fought the Sith. Now look at me. Don't start fawning just yet. I'm too old for it. I know a few things, but we can talk about it at my camp. Look, you can follow now or stumble around on your own, but I'm too old to care whether you think I'm babysitting you. That's the way. I proved that wasn't blind luck, you baby. Well, welcome to my home, such as it is. Pull up a stump and be comfortable. We should discuss a few things. Don't coddle me, child. I'm neither a Jedi nor your master. I'm just an old man that's been lost in the woods for far too long. My days of glory are behind me, but perhaps there is something I can do for you. You must have questions. Look, we've been through this before. My past is my affair. Get some years behind you, and then we'll talk about me. I think you'll agree that we have more important things to discuss, no? What is there to tell? Jolee Bindo is the crazy old man in the dangerous woods. I'm content with the impression I give. I follow the Jedi way, and I command the Force, yes. And I suppose that makes me as much a Jedi as anyone, but what of it? I've seen my share of the dark and the light, and frankly both extremes annoy me. Of course, I have felt rumblings of change. Perhaps you will be of some assistance to me after all. Let us discuss what you came here for. And it makes you think I may have the taint of the dark side in me, doesn't it? Ooh, is that what you're wondering, huh? Ooh. Well, I assure you, I see more gray than dark or light. I'm just a stubborn old man, tired of the foolishness of others. Wait, slow down. I have to ask something of you. I've got something you need, and you can help me. We both know why you have come here. The star map. That has to be it. There's nothing else here. The problems of a few Wookiees don't amount to anything before the concerns of the Jedi. No, you are here for the map. Kashyyyk is an interesting place, more so than anyone suspects. If Zerka Corporation knew, the planet would be a strip mine. The Wookiees have their legends that they were not always here, but it is more than that. The trees themselves are strangers. What I'm saying is that there are literally walls in your way, and you won't find what you need without my help, and my help has a price. Of course, this won't be a problem for you since you have already completed my task, removal of the Circa poachers. Now, I'm not sure if you'll measure up to my task, seeing as how you've already joined up with the slime I want gone. The Circa poachers. I can smell that scent they use on you. I don't care what you told them, I want them gone. After you do that, I want to join up with you. Then I'll remove the barrier between you and the lower Shadowlands. A hunting monkey is part of your great plan? I know you talk to the Circa poachers, and I don't care. I want them gone. You must do a task for me, and then allow me to join with you. I will then remove certain barriers in your path. Oh, save it. I know this sounds absurd, but I'm old and entitled to work you around a bit. Besides, the test is simple. Since they began expanding in the Shadowlands, the Circa have left me alone for the most part. Until recently, anyway. A group of them set up camp not far from here. Poachers is all they are. I'd like them removed from this place. They don't respect this place. They're butchering wildlife and threatening entire species. It's getting under my skin. The Wookiees could take care of themselves if they wished, but the animals are truly helpless victims. Oh, please, this is arbitrary errand work. But such are the requests of the aged. You still have to do it. Their camp is in the far northeast. Now remember, if I wanted them dead, I'd have done it myself. Find a better way. Good. Return to me here and we'll see how you have done. Shoo! Shoo! Yes, I'm an old man that's getting fussy. Call me foolish if you will, I don't care, you still have to do it. I told you, they are destroying the environment. People are mostly annoying, but the balance of nature, that needs protecting. They are not that far northeast of here. There's usually 5 in the area, as far as I can see. The captain of the lot is the one that earned my ire. Mishandle my garden, Willie? You presumably have a ship. I've seen all I wish to here. Isn't that enough? I mean, I'm really sick of the trees. And perhaps your destiny might show me something new. You never know. Don't talk back to your elders, child. Look, they know me quite well, and are always on alert when I approach. The only way I could get rid of them would be violence, which would eventually lead to trouble for the Wookiees. I want them gone, but with as little fuss as possible. They have already caused enough trouble as it is. Did I? You have annoyingly good ears. Well, it doesn't matter. Those days are gone. Leave them in their graves. Why, don't you like what I've done with the place? The creatures here aren't any more treacherous than elsewhere. Yes, among the Wookiees. Intriguing creatures. I like that they have little patience for bureaucrats. But of course, even here there are hidden things that manipulate. Circa Corporation was smart to put him in power. He's as good at destroying Wookiee culture as dropping corpses full of Ardroxian flu. Will you work for him or against him, I wonder? I will be interested to see. Sure. How's this? Think for yourself. I don't care for politics, and I'm big on letting people figure things out for themselves. The Wookiees have prophecies of deliverance if you ask them. But for now they follow without hesitation. That is their wish. Maddened with grief, perhaps, but not crazed, I helped him pass to the lower forest where only a Wookiee could follow. Some other matters will determine if you can follow. There is a barrier that, well, we'll talk of that more in a moment. It is a very unfortunate matter. It will end in shame and sorrow. You will find Rorwar down here, and more. I've witnessed a number of happenings, but I have left them for others to sort out. I wasn't aware I had to be. Look, events like these reveal much about the people involved. I'm well past that introspective tripe. I'm not saying that outside help isn't needed, I didn't want to make anyone mad while I didn't have a way off the planet. We'll talk more about that momentarily. On the body of Rorwar, I know. His death will not go unnoticed. I've been wondering how this foolishness would play out. I am no weaponsmith, but someone in the village will be able to identify the owner of that bolt casing. They are very personal items. Fine, just be brief. I smelled a tack scent on you. Did you agree to hunt for them? Let me remind you that I do not approve, and you need me. Go to their camp and get rid of them. When you are through, we can proceed to the lower Shadowlands, not before. They are not hard to find. Their camp is to the far northeast. Try to get them to leave without too much fuss. After you finish, I will make it so you can pass the barrier that prevents your access to the lower Shadowlands. Now, why would you be asking about that, Don't answer. I knew that had to be why you were here. I told you my price. After you complete my task, I'll make it so you can pass the barriers blocking your goal. That's all I will add on the subject. Ah, I thought you would spot that. It's easy to see with Force-sensitive eyes, isn't it? Zerka put it there. It's a troublesome thing, blocking some access to the lower Shadowlands. That's where you want to go, isn't it? As I said, if you complete my task and allow me to join your group, I will remove the repulsor field from your path. I saw them put it in, so only I know how to manipulate it. That knowledge will serve me now. Do as I ask. You'll have nothing but time if you don't take what help you can. I've been here for many years. I know things. Remember that. I'm sure you are, but you have to take time to listen. Really, you shouldn't try so hard to make new enemies. Do you? Well, I'd better not keep you. I mean, I've only spent about 20 years here. What could I possibly tell you? You don't want to be just another fool with a big impatient chip on their shoulder. That's a dark road, child. Yes, I suppose it's my lot in life, to spend years learning something so that someone else can be impatient to hear it. Oh, ho, ho! Your manner is fearsome, like the little ullers I shoo from the garden, hissing at what they don't understand. I'm too old for your posturing, child. If you have questions, then ask them. Welcome back. I wonder, have you had much luck? Have you done as I asked? Yes, I heard the fuss of it. I told you I wanted a non-violent solution, and I had my reasons for it. You should have thought about that. Zerka Corporation will find the bodies and blame the Wookiees. This may cause more troops to be deployed. That means more disruption. I'm not pleased, but what's done is done, and I'm not here to judge you. Hopefully you'll take care of that yourself. Well, perhaps I have a duty to point out what you should have learned from this, or perhaps no. I see. You are completely detached. Are you sure you're not a droid? It doesn't matter. A trivial thing like this is no measure of anyone. Oh, go bark up a tree. You'll get the same response out of me. Besides, I'm not about to get in the habit of grading you. Well, you're pretty much right, really. Truth be known, I won't judge how you fared, as long as you can live with yourself. Was that convincing? It's been a while since I've been in the company of someone that needed that kind of babysitting. A good teacher, and I'm not saying that I am one, but a good teacher doesn't mash a book in a student's face shouting, "Learn this bit here." If you can't look at the situation for yourself and see the logic behind my way of doing things, you're not the type to understand me anyway. Besides, you're a little old for that master-student fuss, aren't you? I know I am. You were here and it needed doing. Besides, dealing with the Zerka is dirty business. I hope you washed your hands. Yes, in the east past the poacher camp. I saw it when it was installed. It's a very effective barrier, but I know how to get past it. Yes, of course. Let's get moving. I noticed the old paths some time ago. You probably wouldn't have found them on your own. There's also a Zerka repulsor field blocking the way, past the poacher camp in the east. I saw it when it was installed, so I know how to pass it. And on the other side, ancient answers. And perhaps a Wookiee you were seeking. I hope he's in the mood for visitors. I know where you want to go. I can get you through to the old paths. This forest hides some strange things. Yes, I could feel it as you walked near, and I don't sense the smell of death on you. You spared them. Interesting. Wasn't there? I suppose not, but the environment would say otherwise if it could talk. No matter. If you imagined a meaning behind it, I suppose that's good, but I don't think such a trivial thing is any real measure of a person. Well, hurry up. You don't want to be stuck here as long as I have. Why should being what I am compel me to entertain others with tales of the good old days, huh? There'll be time for chatter after we find whatever has caused this disturbance in the Force. It's dangerous, so keep on your toes. Got something on your mind, do you? Oh, I know plenty about Kashyyyk. You think someone doesn't live here for 20 years and pick up a thing or two? Chances are, by the time I finish telling you about it all, you would have found out for yourself. So there's no reason for me to start blathering on. It should be enough for me to tell you that there's kilometer after kilometer of trees on this planet. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it gets. If you're smart, you stay on top with the Wookiees. You go deep, however. and you may find some things you weren't expecting. And that's about all I got to say about that. Now, let's get going. Well, unless you're one of the local species and end up being slaughtered or enslaved, Tatooine's a nice enough desert. Korriban's a rock. Mind the Sith. Manon's an unusual place. Not for its water, mind you. It's the Kolto, healing juice, only place where it occurs in the galaxy. Hard to say what this planet is. Been lost for thousands of years, if not more. Smells like bad karma, so watch your step. It's a ship. To be more specific, it's your ship. You tell me. No more than you. Get going. How many could you possibly need? And besides, I don't have enough supplies on me to put some more together. Ask me later when you're actually in need and I'm less tired. I'm not a kit factory, you know. Well, I suppose I could whip up something, a few herbs and such. You do know that the best alternative is not to get hurt, right? Well, not to say that you go leaping into the path of blaster fire or anything, but I know how you young people get. Here, take it. What? You think because I'm a hermit I've always been a hermit? Just because I haven't seen Sunry for 20 years doesn't mean he's not a friend. A man could have changed a lot in that span of time, though. But to become a murderer, I can't see it. That's not the Sunry I knew. He was a good man. Put me up in his home for a year back after I left the Order. War hero, too, or so I hear. I wouldn't mind helping the fellow if we can. I owe it to him. Or you can be a young monkey lizard and ignore me, I guess. Well, I don't expect much these days. So you do, huh? I once had a holodisc that showed Mandalore doing the 3-step jiggy with a Rancor beast. Marvelous technology we have, you know. It may have been. I believe you should at least keep that possibility in mind. If somebody was going to go through all the trouble of making a false tape to indict Sunry, you think it would have turned up before now? Maybe it would be a good idea to show the tape to Sunry. Perhaps he has an explanation, or perhaps he doesn't. It would be sad if this proved that Sunry did actually perform this crime, but the truth is the truth, whether I like it or not. You did what was necessary. Sunry was guilty, as sad as that fact makes me. Justice had to be done. Doesn't matter that his victim was a Sith or that he was once a hero. I only wish that my old friend hadn't done it. But that's the thing about wishes. They don't come true. And now Sunry's dead, which is a shame. He was a good man, you know, once. Well, I don't want to talk about this anymore. My jaw aches. You defended him well enough. I wish we had time to look into matters more fully, but wishing is only useful for the young and idealistic. What's done is done. The Republic will likely appeal the matter eventually, and he'll be free. I just would like to know if that's best. Sunry was a good man once, and a good friend. I'll miss him. Innocent, I don't know what to make of it, to tell the truth. Do you think justice has been done? I see. I am not so sure. If he did kill that woman, Sunry's going to have to live with that on his conscience. And if he's justified her death in his mind, well, Sunry was a good man once. I only hope that is still the case. I enjoyed his company. But that has little to do with the law, doesn't it? A sad state of affairs, that. Too bad, really. Sunry was a good man once. You got yourself a fast little ship? I'd forgotten what engine sounded like. The closest thing to that on Kashyyyk is an uller in mating season. Oh, frightful. Or it could be for the free food. What's the gunk that comes out of the synthesizer on this bucket anyway? Do you never clean the darn thing? I'm old, damn it. I'm allowed to be enigmatic when I want to be, and don't you go telling me otherwise. You know, you remind me of someone else I knew ages ago. Pleasant enough fellow, great destiny, all of that. Breath like a bantha. Oh, very funny. Is it my fault that some people are so easily annoyed? They're like impatient little children, with blasters. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes, Andor Vex was his name. The Force swirled around him like a hurricane. That's how great his destiny was. No, you wouldn't have. Sometimes swirling force is just swirling force. It gets us old Jedis excited at our age, so we go, ooh, destiny. Well, it turned out that poor Andor believed a wee bit too much in the infallibility of that destiny. That overconfidence turned out to be his downfall. I don't know. Are you overconfident? I hadn't noticed. Even if I had, I would never comment on it. We're talking about Andor, remember? Let's see. Oh, yes, Andor's downfall. I was pretty young myself when it happened. At the time, I thought that Andor's destiny couldn't be more boring. Well, let's just say that I was a strapping young lad with a full head of hair, and Coruscant was a small town with a well. I was just about to abandon Andor to whatever the Force intended for him when his ship was overtaken by a Dimian warship. Now, you've probably never heard of the Dimians, but at the time they were a nasty lot led by a nastier overlord named Krat. Tall fellow, big teeth. Krat has us hauled onto the bridge of his ship for questioning, and that's when I knew that Andor's destiny was at hand. Of course he did. Haven't you been listening? It was not in the way you'd probably expect, though. Swirling force, remember? Jedi here. Granted, I was just interpreting the signs, but we get trained in that sort of thing, more or less. Well, Andor decides that his destiny makes him invulnerable and starts making all sorts of demands. Free me now. I'm not answering questions. Blah, blah, blah. Don't you know who I am? Yeah. Krat decides he's had enough and begins crushing Andor's neck. I told the boy he should have kept his mouth shut. I think he agreed, too, or those could have just been gurgling noises. Oh, well, anyway. Finally, Krat has enough of Andor and tosses him aside into this giant energy intake shaft. Andor gets sucked in and starts bouncing around, screaming. Maybe Andor hit something sensitive on the way down or just didn't agree with the reactor core. Next thing I know, all the ship's alarms are ringing. Everyone panics and I run, barely making it to the ship in time before the explosion. Krat dies horribly, and the Dimians never quite recovered. Changed the political course of the entire sector for centuries to come. I'd call that quite a destiny, wouldn't you? Well, now that's the ingratitude of youth for you. I relate an exciting tale, and do I get thanked for it? No, it's all me. What, are you kidding? What are the odds of that happening anyway? 1,000,000,000 to 1? You should do so well as to be sucked into the engine of some evil Sith Lord, you know. Andor was a hero, sort of. Well, hey, the chances may not be great, but when one has the opportunity to see something like that twice in a lifetime... Anyway, go on. My throat is dry and you're making me cranky. Shoo! You know, if you keep interrupting, it will take even longer. Have you no patience at all? How did you get as old as you are, anyway? Well, he had a much better food dispenser than you do. That and the fact that even I wasn't an altogether impatient twit. Does it have to have a point? I thought we were just talking about Andor. Something wrong with your attention span? I am not. I've no need to make things up. With my poor memory and all. You just sit still and let me finish, damn it. Well, it's not so much a hurricane as a slight breeze. But that doesn't mean anything. Destiny is sometimes in the eye of the beholder. I did. Just because someone has the Force swirling about them doesn't always mean they have a great destiny. But it doesn't hurt to check it out. No, but it could be. An Anduvian salt tablet would clear that right up, you know. So I am. Tell you what, when you get to be my age, you can go ahead and answer any question you like to. You have my permission. How impatient can one person be? You must have driven your mother mad. All that gurgling and fussing. Babies are cute, but annoying. Wow, you're not much for interrogation, are you? Is this as hard as you try? Remind me to sign up for your next torture session. No, I never did I? Of course you do. I know things, remember? You think you can make it around this part of the galaxy without me? Don't answer that. At any rate, I already told you why I wanted to leave. I'd seen everything I wanted to on Kashyyyk. Time to go. Time to move on. To bed! I'm old and tired, you know. How many kilometer-high trees can you find an interest in before you figure you've had enough? I'd bet you can't be bothered to stay in one room for more than 15 minutes. And then there's all the critters in the Shadowlands. I'm just happy to be back in space, doing something new. Is that too much to ask? So I could. Well, not having a ship does tend to put a damper on that kind of idea, however. I'll admit, for all its flaws, Kashyyyk was home enough. But when you came along and I saw the destiny you had before you, I couldn't help but be intrigued. Of course not. Weren't you listening last time? I can see that you have a destiny before you, but the details are far from clear. In fact, everything about you that I can see is odd. Slightly off, as if my eyes are trying to trick me. Something is very dark about you. But, I'm sure you don't need to hear my ruminations. You've probably got enough nosy Jedi offering you one opinion after another to make you sick. Your future will come of its own accord, trust me. Sometimes navel-gazing at it doesn't get you anywhere. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I were you. You remind me a bit of Nomi, and that can be all bad. Nomi Sunrider. She came late to the Force, just as you have, and became one of the greatest Jedi ever. Oh, fine lass. Whether you'll follow the same path remains to be seen. For one thing, we'll never get anywhere if you stand around chatting up old men all day. Oh, stop being such a baby. Are you always so quick to turn aside an ally? Got too many of them, do you? Nonsense. Have I ever refused to help you when you asked? How confused can one person be anyway? Good, since I didn't offer to be one. You think anyone would want to mentor you with that kind of attitude? Not me. I'm past that. One thing I will say is that this little escapade does remind me a bit of my adventuring days before the war. Those were exciting times. Or at least it would remind me of those times if we didn't stand around. What's keeping you? You're too young to be so talkative. Shoo! Shoo! Well, I, for one, am quite content to let you make your own mistakes. Just because I want to see where this ends up doesn't mean I need to tell you how to get there. I'll remind you that you're the one who started pumping me for information. Like an old man doesn't have anything better to do. Interest? Well, I certainly don't have a vested interest. Call it more idle curiosity. Your destiny is rather unclear. Have I offered a single opinion? No, I haven't. Though you could do far worse than hear a couple of mine. Your destiny, after all, is rather unclear. You got a smart mouth on you there, you know that? If others could talk, they'd sound like that. There. Now, was that so hard? An old man has to be allowed some petty eccentricities. Nice to see you agree for once. The hermit says he's tired of living alone in the giant forest, and you find that hard to believe. How cynical are you? You live in an overgrown stump with a tax beating down your door, and you tell me how happy you would be. I was pleased just to have visitors. Elusive? Me elusive? Obviously, you've never tried to grab a Twi'lek dancing girl after drinking too much Onderan Willick juice. My. Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the starship this morning, I see. Is that a chip on your shoulder, or are you a bit surly today? Did I say that? Strange the tricks memory plays on you when you get older. Didn't I say that my past was my affair? You don't see me poking and prodding you with questions, do you? Well, that's a relief. Maybe an old man can finally get some peace around here. Now run along and do whatever you were doing already. I'm not here to satisfy your curiosity. No staring at the old man, that's what the sign says, damn it. I might be, but a mouthy young thing like yourself shouldn't get to call me an old coot, damn it. And besides, you don't really want to hear about me. We're talking ancient history, probably before you were born. History bores kids. Proven fact. Oh, fine, have it your way. Just don't cry about it later. So you're not. Fine, have it your way. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Yes, I was an adventurer. Happy now? I wasn't even done with my Jedi training back then. I had a full head of hair and an eagerness to see absolutely everything. Sound familiar? The Council was never happy with willful, brash Jolee Bindo, you see. Even less so when I began my smuggling career. Don't look at me like that, damn it. I wasn't always the wrinkled coot I am now, you know. I can still fight, too. So wipe off that smirk I see there. You're very sure of that, are you? My. You must be very learned and experienced to know so many things. At any rate, I was still a Padawan at the time. At the time, the Yukata system was interdicted by its own king. He preferred to keep his people starving and poor, all the better to oppress them. The Senate was trying to negotiate a peace, but they were getting nowhere as usual, and I decided I wasn't going to wait. I found myself a ship and a partner, and we began smuggling food and supplies to the Yukata citizenry through the blockade. Oh, it was. I was a half-decent pilot in those days, and with the Force guiding me, we made it through some tough spots nobody else would have. Pilot, smuggler, several other things too. Or did you suppose I was always a crotchety hermit? Well, we didn't buy all the equipment per se. Some were happy to donate goods. Some we just knew had more than they could use. Stole is such a harsh word. They would have donated those goods readily enough if they were compassionate. I considered it a tax on the greedy. We only got caught once. A lone Yukatish frigate shot us down and forced a crash landing. I thought the Force had abandoned me, as I remember. Well, as it happens, getting shot down turned out to be very fortunate. That day was the day that was the day I met my wife. It's all right. When you're digging through the trash, you shouldn't be surprised when you encounter something unpleasant. You know another way to get a wife? But yes, that's when I met her. No, that was a good memory. There are just much worse ones that followed. If it's all the same to you, I'd prefer to stop talking now. My mouth is starting to draw flies. Oh, so you're going to speak for the Force now, are you? I deserve to crash, is that it? As I recall, I'm not the only person in this conversation who's been shot down out of the sky recently. Why not? There were millions of people crying out for aid. What else was I supposed to do? Don't be stupid. Are you doing nothing? If nothing's not good enough for you, there's no reason it should have been good enough for me back then either. I don't want to talk about that. Maybe, but I doubt it. I'm made stubborn that way. Now that's a unique method of getting someone to talk. Thunder about like a bantha in a circuit shop. Does that work for you often? Yes, you do. You may mean well enough, but my private affairs are just that, private. Let me tell you something. Once you've lived as many years as I have, you'll have yourself a long list of memories. If you're lucky, most of them will be good. If you're not, some will be bad. If you're really unlucky, some will be so bad you never want to be reminded of them again, ever. You'll go far away, to a place that doesn't hold any memories at all, and there you'll be happy just to forget and be forgotten. You say that now, but I'm talking to you from across the breadth of many years' experience. That is a gap I simply can't cross for you. Partly, maybe. I doubt I could ever explain it to you fully, even if I wanted to. There are worse things to call yourself, for better reasons. If you don't think it's even possible that you might be flinging those words at yourself one day, you're younger than I thought. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in love? Truly in love, I mean, and not simple infatuation. Exactly. You're still at the beginning of your life. There will be women in your life, perhaps many women. But if you're fortunate, you'll find love once. Exactly. You're still at the beginning of your life. There will be men in your life, perhaps many men. But if you're fortunate, you'll find love once. The Jedi, with their damnable sense of over-caution, would tell you love is something to avoid. Thankfully, anyone who's even partially alive knows that's not true. Love doesn't lead to the dark side. Passion can lead to rage and fear, and can be controlled. But passion is not the same thing as love. Controlling your passions while being in love, that's what they should teach you to beware. But love itself will save you, not condemn you. But listen to me go on as if I had all the answers. What do I know of love anymore? I'm just a lonely old man who's not even a Jedi. Maybe. Do you want to avoid the greatest things in life simply because they come with some complications? Love causes pain, certainly. Inevitably, love is going to lead to as much sorrow and regret as it does joy. I suppose there are perfect, eternal loves out there, but I haven't seen any. And how do you deal with the bad part of love is what determines your character, what determines the dark side's hold over you. Well, I suppose it could. It would take a strong person to make that kind of commitment, I think. Someone with a great sense of self. Bah, a life without risk is boring. Is that how you want to live? You want love, you've got to fight for it. I haven't changed my mind. I'm still not going to talk about it. You go and find your own love if you want to know so badly. I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you and the one you love simply aren't meant to be together. The trick is to know when that is, to know when it's time to fight and when it's time to part ways. There I go, waxing philosophical again. Somebody blast me already. Let's get going before I start talking in riddles, damn it. Don't I? Maybe you're right. It seems whatever I have to say is falling on deaf ears anyhow. So go on, run amok and kiss the bantha for all I care. I won't comment on it. You do you? I wouldn't listen too closely. I'm no authority on anything. I just think that the greatest things in life shouldn't be avoided because they come with a few complications. And why not? All this nonsense about avoiding love is so much foo-foo. I shouldn't be the only one who realizes that. Who said I left the Jedi? Well, technically I was only a Padawan. Not that that makes a difference to most, but as for the Order itself, no, I never left it. It left me. You know what I hate? Well, lots of things really, but I'm old and easily annoyed, but that's besides the point. What I really hate are how most people view the Jedi. Everyone thinks that the Jedi are perfect, that they can do no wrong. They think the Jedi Council is completely incapable of injustice. I guess you aren't as stupid as you sometimes act. No doubt you've been on the receiving end of Jedi justice at least once, eh? Damn right I disagree. The Jedi are just as capable of injustice as anyone else. They may try harder, sure, but sometimes they get it wrong. Quiet, you. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the Jedi as a whole. They are just as capable of imperfection and injustice as anyone else, as you can obviously see. And I'm not even talking about how some of us fall to the dark side. No, that's plenty indication of our fallibility, but it's something else entirely. No, I'm talking about how more than often not, your average robe-wearing Jedi can try to do the right thing and still be completely wrong. I suppose I'm not being very clear, am I? Come to think of it, I don't have to be clear. Someone my age is entitled to ramble, damn it. But for your sake, I'll try to explain. I'll tell you a little tale about a Jedi master I once knew. Hortath, I think. Or was it Hortoth? I could never get it straight. Where was I then? Oh yes, Master Hortath. He was a kindly old Jedi who meant well, but the most nearsighted thing in the Corps, I swear. He would walk into walls, knock over tables, mistake apprentices for rancor beasts, that sort of thing. And he was too proud to submit to proper treatment. Some used to counsel him in the urge to use the Force, Master Hortath. Allow the Force to see for you, but he refused to believe that his eyes were failing. He simply squinted more and more as the years went on, the other Jedi resignedly passing it off as the amusing quirk of a compassionate old man. I'm not finished yet, now shush! So, one day a young Padawan meets Master Hortath in the courtyard and, not knowing of his blindness, asks him for directions to the council. Quite sure of himself, Hortath gave the lad directions, which happened to lead back outside and away from the Enclave. The Padawan is confused, naturally, and he asks if Master Hortath is sure, and of course Master Hortath says that he is. The Padawan suggests that perhaps he should ask someone else, but the proud Hortath now feels insulted. He tells the Padawan to take the route he prescribed and no other. Rather dejectedly, the Padawan did as he was told, and so ended up leaving the Jedi Order forever. It was decided that the boy's fate was to leave the Order anyway, though whether that was out of respect for Hortath or because the boy went on to something else, well, we'll never know. Not much. I never knew the Padawan nor met Master Hortath himself. He was before my time. No, both of them were from before my time. Well before the Sith Wars, even. The tale is about blindness, and I thought the point was clear. At any rate, you think about it. You're the one who asked why the Jedi left me, remember? Now let's get going. My feet are itching for a good run. Considering that it's about blindness, I think that's an appropriate response. You're the one who asked why the Jedi left me, remember? You know the problem with the youth today? They're young. You're the one who was asking me about the Jedi, damn it! Now do you want the story or not? Boring you, am I? Well, you just keep your questions to yourself next time. No need for old men to go and make nuisances of themselves. No, the Jedi always treated me well. It would be foolish and untrue to say otherwise. That's not what I meant, anyway. That's true, but it's not what I meant. I guess I'm not being clear, am I? Oh, is it? There are moments when I think you must be much older than you seem, but this isn't one of them. Something wrong with your ears? I thought folks only went deaf when they got to my age. I follow the Jedi way and use the Force, don't I? That makes me a Jedi last time I checked. But the Order itself, the Jedi Council and so forth, no. I'm not part of that and haven't been for a long time. And good riddance, I say. A rogue, am I? You speak as if there must be something wrong with me, like not being part of the Order makes me a criminal. Don't get so uppity, damn it. The point I was trying to make, if you decide to actually listen, is that I never left the Order. The Order left me. Bad men. Women, too, to be fair. Oh, indeed. They make a fine sandwich, also. But don't tell the Jedi Council I said that. Who's playing games? Ask the next Sith you see if they're bad, and they'll set you straight. And just what gave you the impression that I know anything more about the Sith than you do? Oh, that's right. Damn the ears of the young. I was expecting you to be your usual inattentive self when I mentioned that. So it's true, yes. I fought plenty of Sith. That was during the time of Exar Kun. Oh, 40 years ago now. Has it been that long? No, of course not. The Sith have come and gone for ages. They were not called the Sith many thousands of years ago, perhaps, but the dark side was always present, without a doubt. Oh, sure, occasionally the light side comes close to vanquishing the dark, but the dark always returns. The fact that Exar Kun was defeated didn't mean the Sith would never return, as they obviously have now. Everyone knows that. That is not a pleasant time to remember. After Exar Kun fell to the dark side, he attempted to recruit other Jedi to his cause. What surprised us, what took us completely unprepared, was how utterly successful he was. Many Jedi joined him and became Sith themselves. Why they did, I will never truly know, but they did. Battle broke out throughout the Order, pupil against master. We fought ourselves. Yes, more than difficult. Next to impossible. How do you fight against someone you love? Oh, easy now to call them traitors. But tell me, how do you fight against someone that you love? Pah, I dislike such memories. It leaves a taste in the mouth that... it is a sadness I thought I had put aside long ago. Ask me about the war some other time, just not now. I would prefer to be by myself for now. I've often held the opinion that history has one basic flaw. It is seldom heeded. So go on and greet the world with your spite. Let's see where it takes you. You certainly don't need to hear any more from me. Exar was a Jedi who was corrupted by ghosts of the old Sith, or so they say. He attempted to conquer the Republic and create a new golden age of the Sith. Better to say he was defeated, but essentially, yes. The victory did not come easily, however. A Sith believes he commands the Force, but it is the dark side who commands him. You know this. There is little else I could truly add. Not particularly. I suppose you're going to nag me until I cough it up, aren't you? Nothing is private anymore, it looks like. There's no escaping it, I guess. So be it. My wife's name was Neyama. She was the Yukatis enforcer who shot me out of the sky, if you remember. My wife had plenty to do with the war. Upon meeting her, I knew right away that she was strong in the Force. That's why she was able to shoot me down. Neyama was a marvel of a woman. Fiery, determined, smart. She dragged me to the capital and foiled 3 of my attempts to escape prison. Oh, and that body. Well, yes, that. Needless to say, I eventually won her over. That was after I kidnapped her upon being broken out of the Yucata's prison, mind you. But, that's another story entirely. At any rate, I wanted to train her in the Jedi way. The Council refused my request, naturally. I was still a Padawan at the time. I did. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. The problem with self-righteous folk is they think they're more right than everyone else. Easy to say now. At the time, I just thought I was right. Neyama was intrigued by the idea of becoming a Jedi. She liked the idea of power too much, perhaps, but I certainly didn't see that at the time. I believed in her and trained her in secret. I ignored her willful nature. I loved her too much to see fault in her. And she loved me too. I know she did. At the time, our love was a shared bliss, better than anything I had known before or since. Exar Kun is what happened. Neyama was inspired by Exar's promises of a new golden age. She wanted to join him. She came to me, pleading with me to throw aside what she called the decrepit trappings of the Jedi, to join her in Exar's war. I hadn't thought so, not right then. I was too proud to believe that of her. I had trained her myself. I loved her. No, of course I didn't kill her. How could I? I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about what she was doing. I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about all that she was throwing away, to think about what she would become. She would have none of it. Finally, in frustration, she attacked me. She drew her lightsaber and attempted to strike me down. It was a scene being repeated everywhere throughout the galaxy. Pupil against master. In my case, it was a long and terrible battle, but I defeated her. No, I had her at my mercy, disarmed and defenseless. She looked up at me and she knew. She knew I couldn't do it. But I should have. Sometimes I convince myself otherwise, but it's no use. She had fallen to the dark side when she raised her saber against me. Yes, I think she truly fell the moment she raised up her saber against me. I have played that instant in my head so many times. Was I? Sometimes I convince myself that I couldn't have done otherwise, that I couldn't have seen that she had truly fallen to the dark side. But yes, I was a fool, and I let her go. To my shame, she went on to kill many Jedi during the war until she herself was slain in the final battle. I grieved for her death, inevitable as it was, even as the Jedi Council put me on trial for my actions once the war was over. I had trained Neyama against their wishes. I had failed to kill her when I had the chance, and she went on to kill others. It was a travesty, of course. I told you that even the Jedi were capable of great injustices, didn't I? Not at all. They found me innocent. Of course I deserved to be punished. They found me innocent anyway. But I deserved to be tried. They found me innocent. Even though I deserved every punishment and more, they let me go. Mitigating circumstances, they said. I deserved compassion, they said. That was when the Jedi left me. That was when they failed me. No, maybe you don't at that. For my pride? For my cowardice? Which do you think is the act more befitting a Jedi? They may have been able to forgive me. I could never forgive myself. Yes, I do, I suppose. Does that surprise you? It is all so long ago, lost in the winds, I suppose. Nobody cares what an old man believes anymore, do they? Let's continue on with the task at hand. I would prefer to think of the present today. Bah! You got ears that work, don't you? I was a smuggler, way back. I got shot down once over Yucata's. That story, yes. No, I'm not senile, damn it. Not yet, anyway. Well, at least I don't think so. At any rate, I'll tell the story the way I want to. I'm not interested in your demands. I'll tell my story when I'm damn good and ready, which isn't now, so shoot! Such a charming and persuasive manner you have there. Forget it! Oh, that was not until many years later, to tell the truth. I spent quite some time wandering the galaxy. Why wouldn't they? I had refused my promotion to Jedi. I was a Padawan who had left the Order, nothing more. I traveled from one civilized system to the next, never staying long. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. Nothing so extravagant. I merely traveled from place to place. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. It wasn't as if my travels were pleasant either. There were plenty of folks who distrusted the Jedi after the war, or worse. If people weren't treating me with suspicion, they were looking at me with greed. I don't know how many thought they could make use of me for their own ends. I got so sick of the treachery and deceit, I left the civilized parts of the galaxy and headed instead for the uncivilized parts. Actually, I was on my way somewhere else when I crash-landed on Kashyyyk. The ship I was using was a rust bucket. I'd taken some damage passing through an unexpected asteroid field, as I recall, but I wasn't completely without some systems. I could still guide her a bit when I crashed. It wasn't what I would call the smoothest landing, especially considering I ended up smack in the depths of the Shadowlands. But I lived. I'm no mechanic, and besides, after you plunge nose first in the trunk of a 5-kilometer-high tree, chances are you don't have much ship left. Sure, why not? It seemed like an interesting enough place to spend a couple of decades exploring. That was a challenge at first. You've seen the kind of creatures that exist down there, and you miss the really big ones. I was still able to rely on the Force to keep me safe for the most part. The rest of the trick is keeping out of the way of most of the predators. No, that's true. Still, most of the creatures grew accustomed to me, and I to them. At least none of them ever heard of a Jedi. Bah, what do you know? I'd done enough wandering by that point, thank you very much. I felt at peace in the Shadowlands. Oh, they did at first, oh yes. I can't say I was overly pleased to encounter a group of indigenous giant carpets either, I can assure you of that. No, I was the intruder in their land, after all. They got to trust me well enough after a couple of decades of my aid. Well, that was after 2 decades of helping them. They certainly didn't trust me at first. And why would I have been interested in that? You can't spend 5 minutes in a Wookiee village without coming out smelling like wet fur. No, let them rule themselves. They can screw up their history just like every other race before them. No, I helped them in other ways. When I could, I would assist a few young ones who would get lost in the Shadowlands or attacked unexpectedly by the wildlife. I must say, for a while there the Wookiees actually thought I was some kind of benevolent forest god. Amusing, really. I set them straight eventually. At first, when the slavers took to hunting down lone Wookiees in the fringes of the Shadowlands, I did my best to divert them. Later, when Shundar made his deal, I didn't see any point. I wasn't here to save them from their own sad follies, after all. Nonsense. I had no idea that's what they were thinking for a long time. I just thought they were being friendly neighbors, leaving fruit and such for me. Later, when I started to understand some of their grunting, I realized they would say prayers to the Hairless One before descending into the forest. Hairless One. I used to have plenty of hair, I tell you. Well, at any rate, it took a few bruises, but I set the record straight. I traveled to Rookworo and met with the chieftain in front of everyone. Freyr swatted at me just to see if I was real or not. I was real, and while it was a light swat, Wookiees are terribly strong. I was knocked out cold for a day. The Wookiees all thought it was quite funny. Not really. Kashyyyk is a place you can feel very small in. It felt good to devote my time to helping people and living simply. What can I say? I did it all for the Wookiees. The Wookiees? Well, okay, maybe I needed some time on a quiet and remote planet, but if you ever need a friend, an incredibly strong hairball isn't a bad call. Why, thank you. You're not so bad yourself, all things considered. I suppose I am in a way, despite the smell. For a race of gardeners, they've developed quite interestingly. You remember the alien computer, correct? Kashyyyk was meant to be an agricultural planet. The Wookiees were made for a reason. Or at least that's what I'm thinking. But I'm an old man who's had a long time to develop that opinion, so don't argue with me. See? Now you know how I feel half the time. At any rate, we should be moving along, don't you think? If you sat around this long in the Shadowlands, attack would eat you. I suppose so. Not everyone would understand why the Jedi would suddenly start killing themselves and tearing up half the galaxy, would they? I was lost. I couldn't conceive of returning to the Jedi, so what would you propose I'd done? Are we back to that again? What's the best way for me to approach this? Perhaps it's time for a little story. You just keep quiet there, you. I've had to put up with all your busybody questions, haven't I? Well, now you'll listen to a story, damn it! Now, where was I? Oh, yes, the story. You almost made me forget about it. Nice try, but I'm not that old just yet. Now then, a young man sees a terribly venomous snake in his small village. Nervous, he watches the snake carefully until it leaves. The young man follows the snake into the forest. He clears the branches out of its path and helps it over obstacles. He even works to keep it fed. Shush! Many nights pass, and still the young man continues to follow the snake. He even follows it into the sands of the great desert. In the desert, the snake eventually grows hungry. It turns and bites the young man, its poison quickly working its way into his system. Finally, curious, the snake looks at the boy as he lays dying and asks, "Why were you foolish enough to follow me all the way out into the desert?" The boy looks back and replies, "Did I follow you? I thought I was leading you away from everyone else." And then he died. Well, now, that's what I wanted to see for myself. I've come a long way as it is, and I'm going to die anyway, so that doesn't bother me in the least. Well, then, let's hope you're not the young man either. The real question is whether or not I'm as frightened as I should be, isn't it? I've told you before that you have a destiny before you. This does not mean, however, that your future is already written. They are not the same thing. You have the choice of which direction you take your destiny in. More than engine-sucking Andor, certainly, but even he had a choice. So far, you've chosen to take a darker path. You know the consequences of that. We'll see if you decide to stay your course. So far, you've chosen to take the lighter path. Can you stay that course, even through the challenges ahead? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not here to judge you or tell you which path to take. I'm here ready to offer you my help, should you ask for it. I do that because I think it's important. More important than remaining in my home and pretending the galaxy doesn't exist. That's why I'm here. I'm rather glad I came too, really. You're a fine young lad. I hope things turn out well for you. I'm rather glad I came too, really. You're a fine young lass. I hope things turn out well for you. So you say, but it's my time to waste. Perhaps I can influence your decision, perhaps not. Only time will tell, won't it? That's very kind of you, but while elsewhere may be safer, elsewhere isn't where I think I should be. Besides, what's an old man to fear from death, huh? Now then, I've chatted enough for one lifetime. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Oh, I get it. Let's play with the old man's head, is it? He's half senile. He'll forget I said anything. Wait, what was this about anyway? Stop bothering me with your questions. I can barely hear myself think. I have no idea what you're talking about, Ramble. What are you saying? God, I need to speak with you. The cell is too drafty. My old bones could catch a chill in here. We don't want that. You better let me out. You shouldn't have let me out, Sonny. That was wrong. Admiral Kareth won't be too happy with you disobeying his orders. You deserve to be locked up in the cell for disobeying orders. Then I'll be sure to never let you out. Goodbye, Sonny. Not this again! Let's see what you got. Now you'll get it. You're never too old for this. Take that! Let's see. I still got it. You can dance on this one now. Phooey. Well now, that one looks ready. Not doing well here. This might sting a bit. Deadly toxins. Okay, we're back together. And you need? Yes? Did it. I'm going to go on ahead. Time to pay attention. Got it. Time for sneaking. Got it. I'm not exactly leaving a mark on this one.